and welcome to this bonus instruction video on how to close the gap when just having done a heel on socks. For this particular sock we have done a short row heel, a German short row heel. So as you can see there's kind of a gap here. If you want to just join in the round and just knit like we would normally we would have a gap here. And in this video I'm going to show you how to close that gap. Here is the other sock of this pair that I have done on circular needles, and this is how it will look like after we have done this technique. So it still shows a little bit of a hole, but you can close that with the yarn ends you have in the middle, I mean on the inside. So we still have some yarn here. You can use that to close the little gap, but we'll try to just close it as much as possible just while knitting it. See, on this side it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much entirely closed. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So for this sock I've been working on DPNs. I've just finished the heel, and the scrap yarn for that is here, I mean the yarn end. And now we're going to continue with the main color yarn. So just a quick note, if you have been doing the heel with the same color, so not a contrasting color, your yarn end will be here instead of on this side. So if that's the case for your sock, then just knit this row first and start with the technique here. But since we have one main color and a contrasting color, the main color is still on this needle. So I'm gonna start here, but you can adapt the same technique if you start at the other side first. I know that may sound kind of, I hope that sounds clear, but I'll just start and you'll know what I mean. So we have our little gap here, and if you want to tuck the yarn here as much as possible, you see we still have quite a large gap to fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 stitches here and put them on the heel needle. So what you want to do is search for 2 stitches to pick up that won't leave a large gap. So for example, if I do this, you see it'll leave a large gap. So we cannot pick up that strand. Instead, let me just fetch the 4th DPN. So instead, let me check what we could do. So you see this one could work, or maybe if we pick up this one it will be even better. Yeah, maybe. So let me just pick that one, and then maybe this one or that one. How do I grab that one? Oops. So there, and let me just put it on the needle. Let's see. Yeah, I think that would be pretty nice if we could knit those. So another thing you can do, if the stitches you pick up are leaving just a tad too big hole, you can just knit it, twist it, so not through the back loop or the right leg, but through the front loop. So we're gonna do that here. insert through the front loop. I'm gonna knit the stitch. There we go. And for this one, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna knit both of these twisted. That's another way to close the gap as much as possible. Yeah, so that's acceptable. We still have some yarn ends here that we could use to close the gap even further. So then we're just gonna knit until we come to the other side. So now we have knit across all of the sole, or actually this isn't the sole anymore, but the heel stitches. And if you had just one singular color sock, you would be starting here with your gap closing technique. So on this side, we're also gonna pick up 2 stitches, and we're gonna put it on the same heel needle, since that's easier to keep track of the picked up stitches. So again, let's see what we have. We don't have any yarn ends in the on the inside, so we have to be sure to close the gap as much as possible. So let me just go. So I tend to, one of my favorite parts to pick up stitches is just this little bar right here. It tends to give a really good result. So so just this one here. Let's just see. And then this one will give too much of a gap. So maybe this one, that could work. Or what might even be better is if we reach through this stitch and pick up that one. Yeah, that works pretty well. Yeah. So just slide the needle in so you have the right tip right here. And then we'll just knit it onto the heel stitches. And let's see. For this one, it doesn't really matter which leg you knit, so I'm just gonna knit the front leg. For this one, I'm also gonna knit the front leg. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So now I'm just gonna continue knitting the stitches here. Oh wait, this one might leave a large gap. So I might have to knit this one twisted. It won't look as pretty. But yeah, I might just do that just to close it up a little bit more. And as you may have noticed, this sock has a texture stitch along the front. So make sure that if you knit along this side, if your sock has a texture stitch pattern, just follow the stitch pattern. But for this round, I just have to knit, just knit stockinette for this round. So now I have knit across the instep stitches, and we're on the other side of the heel again. And on this round, we're just gonna knit the stitches we picked up. And then we're gonna decrease on the next round. So for now, just knit one entire round, except for if you just did the first picking up of the stitches on this side. If you have a singular color sock, then you're gonna want to do the second picking up of stitches here, so that you end up with an extra of 4 stitches on this needle. but otherwise just if you already have picked up those 4 extra stitches, just continue and knit in the round until we come to the next round. So now I've done one entire round again, and I'm at the point where I first started picking up the stitches. So here is also the side where I want to start doing my decreases. I have done 2 pickup stitches here, so I'm gonna want to do 2 decreases, but we're not gonna do 2 decreases in this row. We're gonna decrease 1 stitch and then do another plain knit round, and then do the second decrease. So and as you can see, I've started to do the texture pattern again on this needle, and I have to continue that on the heel stitches. So the texture pattern for this sock, which is my simple toe up guide, simple toe up sock guide pattern, I purled every 4th stitch. So here I have purled the second to last stitch, and then I have 3 stitches in between the purls, which I just knit. But since I have 2 extra stitches here, I just have to kind of disregard them, just skip them in this texture pattern. Otherwise, the stitch count won't match when I have decreased the 4 stitches here. So I have 1 knit stitch here, which means I need 2 knit stitches before the next purl, but since these 2 stitches are going to be decreased, I need to be counting from here. So I need to do these 2 stitches. I'm gonna do them in a knit stitch, and then here the 3rd one is gonna be a purl stitch. So, but that that is some advice on how to do these decreases if you have this kind of texture pattern. Some texture patterns don't run along the back of the leg, so if you have one of those, it's extra easy. So for the right side of the foot, or the right side of the sock, I'm gonna do a slip slip knit decrease. That is my preferred method. So I'm gonna slip those knitwise, put them back on the right needle, and then knit them together. That's how I decrease on the right side of the sock. So now I'm gonna do those 2 knit stitches. Then we're gonna do a purl. I think and then I'm just gonna continue to the other end of the sock. So I've come to the other side, to the left side of the heel, and I have my 2 stitches left here, which I shall be decreasing to just 1 stitch. And on the left side, instead of a slip slip knit, I'm gonna do a knit 2 together. So you're gonna insert from left to right to both of the front legs, and then just knit them together. And that is how I decrease on the left side, and on the right side I've decreased with a slip slip knit. So we have decreased 1 stitch on each side now. So now we're just gonna knit plain, well, depending on your texture pattern or stitch pattern, but we're not gonna do any decreases. So for 1 round we're just not gonna do any decreases, and then on the round after that we're gonna do the same decreases we just did, so that you end up with the same number of stitches you originally had for the heel, or for each half. And after having done that, you'll see that there is almost no gap at where you joined the heel in the round again. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial video. Be sure to check out my other tutorial videos and also this sock pattern, which I will link to in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!